Donald Trump's followers, the ones who have been demanding the Republican Party play by its rule at the convention, are fed up with being told how things may change, so they're demanding their own rules change. As the preview for Cleveland gets juicier and more chaotic by the moment. Meantime, there's the matter of those annoying polls that are keeping a smile on the face of Democrats. That does not make the right happy. Left, right, up, down, inside out, it's all grist for the Friday Eve version of the political animal. He is CEO at Bannon Communications, the respected political polling and consulting firm Brad Bannon. Joined by the how are you, Brad? Joined by the politics editor at the Washington Examiner, digging out from the Beltway trenches, W. James Antle III. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. Jim, they're talking about a shadow campaign to deny Donald Trump his delegates. There's also talk now from Donald Trump's own people, a lot of his followers, who have said, we need to wipe out the rule at the convention right now that says majority. No more majority. Whoever gets the most votes, period, at the end of the day, delegates-wise, they're the ones. That's the one who gets the presidential nomination. So even they're looking to change the rules. This is turning into an absolute mess here. But will this shadow campaign have any effect whatsoever?
I don't even know that it's much of a shadow campaign. I think it's pretty out in the open. I mean, what's always been the case is that the identity of the actual delegates, who the people themselves will be, is really influenced by state conventions and other state processes in which the campaigns tend not to usually be that directly involved. So Donald Trump could end up in a situation where if his campaign doesn't engage in this process, that even his own delegates will not necessarily be Trump supporters. So they'll vote for him on the first ballot because they're obligated to do so. But if he doesn't have a majority on that ballot and it goes to subsequent ballots, they could all become free agents and they'd very easily defect. So that's the first thing, is that they need to make sure that as many of the delegates as they do win through the primary process will actually remain faithful. Secondly, they're talking about changing the rules. Everybody is talking about changing the rules one way or another. They're talking about getting rid of the rule or no longer having the rule from the previous convention bind them, requiring 8 states to have your name put in nomination. Trump supporters want plurality rather than majority, although they'd be wise to continue to try to press for a majority through the primaries. Whoever gets to control the Rules Committee is really going to control what's going to happen at this convention.
Brad, let's talk a little bit about the Democratic side of things here. A new CNN ORC poll says that voters nationwide think Hillary Clinton would most likely win in the November election. 56% say they think Clinton would win a matchup between the two leading Republicans in November. 42% say Trump would take it. Okay, lots of numbers being thrown around here, Brad. Let's chuck these numbers for a moment here and just get to the fact that, do you not believe it is at least possible that with all this fighting back and forth, Hillary Clinton is still going to face a very strong competitive race from the Republican, whomever it is, because this may just bring the party together, Brad? You've been around a lot of political battles in your time. You see what happens. That can exist.
Well, first of all, I think the race in the last analysis would be competitive. But the Republican nominee, whoever it is, has a long way to go. Bloomberg News released a new national poll today, which showed Hillary beating Trump by 18 points. So I'd love to see them, chop and at each other because the voters of America are not happy with the Republicans, and that's why Hillary Clinton has an 18-point lead. And I tell them to knock it off, but I'm a Democrat, so I'm enjoying every minute of it.
All right, we get that now, but you're still an analyst. So let me throw this to you. What is it that the analytical side of you looks at and fears coming out of the Republican convention, which would really be strong and put up that front that would hurt Hillary Clinton, likely, or Bernie Sanders?
Oh, I think the best thing the Republicans could do to hurt Hillary Clinton is not to nominate Donald Trump. It's as simple as that. I think Trump will be a stone-cold loser in November, and that's why some Republicans are trying to push Trump out, and they better, because if they don't push Trump out and get somebody else, they're going to be hurting in November.
I want to also talk about something else here that regards Hillary Clinton that came up as a piece of news in the last 24 hours or so, and I want you both to comment on this. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, some very strong words about Hillary Clinton and her role in the world's current terror problem. Here's what he said.
If you're talking about doing what she wants to do, which is to rally our forces against ISIS, you got to come back to the White House, you got to sit in the Situation Room, And you can't leave until you come out with a plan.
Well, he doesn't want to.
She had her chance to do it. She helped create ISIS. I mean, Hillary Clinton could be considered a founding member of ISIS.
Brad, seeing as you're on the left, I'm going to let you get the first shot at this. Your reaction to the comments.
Well, first, Mayor Giuliani's wrong. It was George W. Bush and Dick Cheney who created ISIS. By destroying the Saddam Hussein regime, they left a vacuum in Iraq that ISIS filled. So if anybody created ISIS, it was George W. Bush, not Hillary Clinton. She spent most of her time as Secretary of State trying to clean up the Republican mess.
All right. Now, Jim, let me come to you. From the Republican side of things, there are Republicans who absolutely believe that this is true. There's a lot of people who say that Rudy Giuliani speaks the truth. Is this going to help, hurt Giuliani coming out here? Because also, I got 30 seconds left. The former mayor said today that he would pardon anybody who was found guilty of torture.
Well, I think, Hillary Clinton voted for the Iraq War, so she has some responsibility for that. And then she was the main person pushing for the war in Libya, which repeated a lot of the same mistakes of the Iraq War. A regime change that failed and created a vacuum that was filled by jihadists. So I don't know that Hillary Clinton's record on these issues really is much of a reproach to the Bush-Cheney years.
At the end of the day, guys, here's what we do. We all go back. We all say, I wish we didn't do what we did then and we had known what we know now. It all happens. But quite frankly, everybody, I think, has a role to play in a lot of the responsibilities across the board. Jim Antle, Brad Bannon, gentlemen, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. The harsh reality of a world at war and the spread of an enemy that is always being underrated, even though we're told that sometimes we got this under control. That's coming up next, right here on the fastest 60 minutes in news. This is The Hard Line.